Money is what I'm about. I'm talking flipping weight. I'm talking sleeping late. I'm talking stretching we for cake. I'm talking but I lead the way. Multi keep me paid. And I'm rolling off this dirty spray.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Frank here, and today I have a wall bounce tutorial for you guys. I'm really excited to go in depth with this. This is probably going to be my most in-depth wall bounce tutorial on this channel. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you take time to hit that subscribe button. Also smash that like button. Now without further ado, let's get into the wall bounce tutorial. So if you're new to the Gears of War, you're probably asking, what is wall bouncing and why do I need to learn it? Wall bouncing has been in Gears since the very first Gears of War. It consists of using Gears cover systems to your advantage. When you dash, you can cancel your dash and change directions to link different bounces together and create interesting combos that make it harder for your opponents to keep up. Over the years, wall bounce has evolved just like everything else, so there's a bunch of different variations that I'm going to go over with you and take time to break it down, okay? I'm going to start off with the beginner way on how to wall bounce. When learning how to wall bounce, you will find it extremely difficult to chain walls into a combo. This is why I recommend not canceling your wall bounce until you have mastered wall bouncing without the cancel. This is very simple to do. First you choose a wall you want to bounce to, then you press A. When you hit the wall, move your right stick towards the opposite wall and press A again. Doing this in a private match or hold mode really helps. Next up is the intermediate version of wall bouncing. Now that you have mastered wall bouncing with no cancel, it's time to learn two basic techniques to wall bounce. The first method I'm going to show you is called the hold up method. This method is where you hold up on your left stick and move your right stick left and right while pressing the bounce button. I personally bounce with LB, but by default you start the game off bouncing with the A button. Pros to this method is that it's very easy to bounce and link walls together. This is best used in hallways that are narrow. And the cons of this is that it's less effective against better players because they will read your movement based on the wall you're facing. The next method I'm going to show you is called the pullback method. This is when you dash to a wall and pull away from the wall on your left stick, forcing your character to cancel the bounce manually and then chaining the next bounce to the opposite wall. When done properly, this will make your bounce jagged and a bit harder to follow. The pros of this is that you have more control over your character as a whole. Also, it is easier to hit your target because you can shoot each time you pull back. This is best used on wider hallways because it allows you to reach further walls. The cons of this is that your bounce is much slower due to the fact that each time you change walls, you are having to stop your momentum and change directions. Therefore, this bounce can make you an easy target. This method also requires a much more in-depth understanding of timing, pacing your shots, as well as your opponent's options. Once you master the intermediate wall bounce, it's time to learn some more advanced techniques. Next up, we have the angle bounce. The angle bounce is when you keep your camera centered and primarily use your left stick to hit all the angles to wall bounce. Pros, this makes it harder for the opponent to read where you are going as they cannot see which wall you're facing because it doesn't match the angle that you're going to hit for the wall bounce. The cons of this is that it's extremely short distance that you can wall bounce in, so if this is not mastered, this will cause a lot of misrolling. This variation is called the circle bounce. Circle bounce is when you hold right or left on your right stick and up on your left stick and press A repeatedly in between covers. Pros are is extremely fast wall bouncing, which makes it hard for your opponent to target you and read your movements. Cons is your line of sight is the worst out of all these variations because your camera keeps spinning until you actually stop bouncing. This makes it hard to track your enemy and hit your target. This should be used as a last resort to create space between you and your opponent so that you can reset the fight and challenge again. Corner bounce. Corner bouncing is when you use your left stick to bounce in between covers that make a right angle. You time a left stick and A button and your character will bounce between both covers. It is important to understand that you want to make your character bounce backwards on the wall as it changes the animation and looks more sporadic. Pros, when mastered, this is a really good technique to bait your opponent to fight you. This also makes you a hard target to hit when done properly. Cons, can't cover much ground. Also, if not mastered, you can only do it for a few seconds and then you misroll. This technique is simply for showing off and doesn't have much fundamental value. Triangle bounce. To perform the triangle bounce, you need to hold left or right on the right stick for about 1.5 seconds and hold up on your left stick. Once you do this, you will be bouncing in about 3 points that make a triangle. Pros of this is that it allows you to get behind the enemy if they are approaching you, making them turn around to shoot you, which is always good because they have to realign their shot. Cons is that it requires a lot of camera movement to do properly and can make you lose the target. I like to think of this as a high risk, low reward option. This wraps up my tutorial. If you found these tips helpful, make sure to destroy that like button. Also hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so that you can be notified when I make a new upload. I'll see you guys in my next tutorial. Peace out.